Today's video is all going to be about the difference between hip turn and weight shift and how this is really going to help your game understanding the difference between the two and the role of the lower body, the role of the hips in your backswing. Stay tuned for more info. Welcome to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today at Branston Golf and Country Club. Today's video, as I mentioned there in the intro, is going to be about the difference between hip turn and weight transfer, and something I see a lot of golfers getting confused on in the backswing and making the wrong sort of lower body movement, and it really gets them out of sequence and therefore the downswing into impact. So there is a reason why I'm wearing a tour stick here across my hips. Now you could quite simply just push one of these through the belt loops of your trousers. I've just got a Velcro strap that one of my lessons kindly made me that works really well. I use a lot with lessons because it just sticks it a little bit more towards your hip bones. There's less movement away from it, so it's really good for demonstrating what I'm going to be talking about here. Now I'm going to be showing today's video using a driver, but this is relevant with any golf club. I don't care whether you've got an iron or a wood, it's very relevant. So let's get straight into it really here. I'm going to just put a cane, another tour stick, between my feet, just inside, about a club head's width inside my trail foot. So slightly closer to my trail foot, my right foot here. And I've got this cane across my shoulders, and I'll use the club to start with across my shoulders. And I just want to talk about the difference between the two. So I get a lot of people when they're trying to shift their weight, or maybe in their head they're trying to shift their pressure, a slightly different thing in my opinion, but we tend to see this slide and sway off the ball, where we quite often see the pressure is actually moving towards the outside edge of their trail shoe. So that would be my right shoe here, and we almost start to see the inside edge of their shoe as their foot is rolling. Now, not only is it bad for us physically in terms of our ankle stability, our knee and our hip, but it really causes us a big sway off the ball. Now, when someone's lower body is going laterally away from the target, they're either going to move their upper body laterally away from the target as well, and then you'll see a big movement with their head off the golf ball, and they may well struggle to get back to the golf ball consistently from there. They might do it at times, but not all the time. Or we see that their lower body slides away from the target, but their upper body leans towards the target as a compensation. So we see their lower body going one way and their upper body almost going the opposite direction this way. And we end up with a real lot of side bend here in my lead side, and I look like my upper body, my head's leaning over my lead foot. And again, we look in a very uncomfortable position where we're really not loading enough pressure and force correctly into that trail foot. So on the backswing, I like to see around 80% loaded into my trail foot on the backswing. Most tour players get to that position when their left arm is parallel to the ground. The reality is, as they complete the backswing, the pressure is already starting to move a little bit forwards. But it does depend on how hard they're trying to hit it, the club they're trying to use. So with a driver, potentially generating a little bit more speed, a little bit more force, and the pressure is already starting to move a little bit back to the left. But let's for a minute say that at the top of my backswing, I'm 80% loaded into my trail foot. I want that pressure to be felt on the inside edge of my trail thigh, inside edge of my trail knee, and inside edge of my trail foot. I don't want that to be moving to the outside edge of my ankle, knee or hip there where I'm sliding at all. So what I'm asking you to do with this cane across your hips and the one between your feet, about a club head's width inside your trail heel, is make a big shoulder turn behind the golf ball. So I'm trying to match this up with this cane on the floor, and you will see that my hips have rotated, but less than my shoulders. So my shoulders have turned 90, my hips have turned, I guess it's probably around there, 45. And the pressure is definitely felt on the inside edge of my trail thigh. And if you got this on video or looked at it in the mirror, it would look like you were almost one straight line here loaded into that trail foot, and we've made a nice line, straight line up from my lead foot towards my lead shoulder, almost a slight horizontal line here that we're seeing, or sorry, diagonal line, not horizontal. I'll get it right, a slight diagonal line all the way up from my lead side towards my lead shoulder, but I'll look almost like I've hit the wall here on my trail side and stayed on that position that you'll see on the screen. So I haven't slid to the right away from the target, knocked down that wall, and I obviously don't want to see something where I'm leaning towards the target. So I'm making a nice wind up here. I can feel the pressure into my trail foot. If I stretch my arms out, that's what the backswing would feel to me. Very loaded, and you'll see this diagonal straight line here up my lead side, then I'm not leaning towards the target or getting my lower body out of sync with my upper body, I guess is a good way of thinking about this. So we want to be very well loaded. I've got one other drill for you if this is something you struggle with, and it's going to be using a tour stick again. And all I'm going to get you to do is push it into the ground and start with about an inch gap from your trail hip, so your right hip if you're a right-handed golfer, to the cane. And what we want to feel like we do on the backswing is almost a little bump and then a turn behind it with our trail hip, because my hip, and I have done a video talking about this, labeled It's All in the Hips, and it's really relevant for what we're talking about today, so make sure you check that out. I'll put the link just up here. It's that feeling of my trail hip moving up and behind me on the backswing that is very different to a lateral movement away from the target. So simply just doing some practice swings here where I feel like there's a little bump towards the cane, and then my trail hip turns behind me here. And again, I feel very well loaded behind the golf ball. So let me rehearse that move, a bump and a turn here. And that really gets me into that trail foot, ready to unload correctly into the downswing and really unleash as much speed as I can. Let me see if I can get that feeling. I may just use the tour stick here. So I'll move where that's going to be, and I'll use that as my reference point and just feel that little bump and then the turn behind it, so I'm really loaded in my backswing. Again, this is relevant with any golf club, even though we're discussing it with a driver today. So, slight gap from my, if we can get the angle correct, there we go, from my right hip, my trail hip to that cane, I'm just going to feel a little bump here and then a turn behind it as well as I can. So I'm really loading into my trail side to then generate as much speed as possible. So that movement with my hip, it felt like a bump and more of a turn behind it, not a knock down the cane here. You could even just do like I started with, that cane between your feet, favoring your trail foot to feel like your upper body turns behind it, your hip turns behind that line as well here. So it's a great drill to really load you into the right side, to really maximize your speed and your energy, your efficiency through the golf ball. We see so many golfers wasting their energy because they're not really loading enough into this trail foot on the backswing. If that video has helped you, if those exercises help you, make sure you do click the thumbs up if you have enjoyed the content of the video. Do comment below any videos you'd like to see me film, and make sure you subscribe to my channel for all the other content every Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks guys, we'll see you soon.